Welcome back to Cossy Arsenal Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your latest Arsenal news and transfer news plus an injury update on Gabriel Magalhães. So we're going to be diving into lots of the stories around Arsenal. Trossard has spoken to Mikel Arteta and he has given him assurance that when Arsenal start playing 2 games every 3 days, Trossard is going to get his time, and therefore there is nothing wrong with the relationship between Mikel Arteta and Trossard. We're going to be talking about Emile Smith-Rowe as well, Tomiyasu, Odegaard, the new contracts Arsenal are lining up, and that big injury update on Gabriel Magalhães. He is absolutely all right. Hit that button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let me know in the comment box below, what do you think is the problem with Emile Smith-Rowe and Mikel Arteta? I have a video for you on that topic. But do you think there is something personal between Arteta and Emile Smith-Rowe? Do you think Emile Smith-Rowe is actually not performing to the levels the manager actually wants him to perform at? Or there is something else? Because for me, for a player who actually played very well in the Euros for England under 21, he was absolutely magnificent, and I thought that was going to be the starting point for Emile Smith-Rowe to get some game time, under Mikel Arteta. We've not seen that yet. Is there something in your opinion, or you think it's just the beginning of the season and everything will actually be all right? So let me know in the comment box below your thoughts and opinions about that. But let's start off with the big one, which is Martin Odegaard and Tomiyasu. 2 new contracts that Arsenal are working on. Odegaard's contract is actually in the pipeline, and before the end of this month, Arsenal could announce that they have reached an agreement between them and Martin Odegaard to sign a new deal. Now, right after the summer, according to Fabrizio Romano, the big job for Mikel Arteta and Edu was to tie down Odegaard to a long-term deal. And it's going to be very important. It's going to be very key for us because Odegaard is not just an important player. He's not just a key player for Arsenal, but he's also one of the players that are irreplaceable in this Arsenal side. So I've looked at whichever players we have in this side, their roles, their ability, what they do and what they don't. Odegaard is irreplaceable. Even if you went out to the market there and you try to sign a player his age, his profile, there are very few. He's not James Maddison, because him and Maddison actually do very different things, and he is not Kevin De Bruyne, because again, him and Kevin De Bruyne do very different things. So the role he plays this Arsenal side, the talent, that natural flair, you cannot replace him, right? And I'm really scared that if Arsenal at one point in time if we find ourselves without Odegaard, probably he's injured, probably just to rotate him, where do we go from there? Do we change the whole system, or do we actually force a player like Emile Smith-Rowe or Fabio Vieira in his position? The one thing I've seen, and the one thing we've all seen, Fabio Vieira does not give you what Odegaard gives you. It's far away from the real picture. Emile Smith-Rowe is actually a very different profile. Like, he's a very different profile to Odegaard. So he's going to sign a new deal. Arsenal want to make him one of the most paid players, most expensively paid players at the club. And I think he deserves that. He was our player of the campaign last campaign. And this season, he's already started well. A beauty against Manchester United. Scored a penalty already as well. I think he's already started very well. The problem I had with him last campaign, he actually started a little bit later, and this campaign he started right away. You can see him dictating the way we play. You can see him dictating the tempo of games. I think Mikel Arteta will be very pleased with him, and Edu will be very pleased with him as well. Now, Tomiyasu is another player that Arsenal are planning to give a new contract to extend his deal until 2027. Now, Tomiyasu's deal is one that actually baffles me. I'm not really sure Tomiyasu is going to be at Arsenal for a very long time, but then if you don't give him a new deal, his value actually drops. I think his current contract would be running down in 2024 or 2025. So Arsenal just have to be proactive. We just want to be a little bit ahead of the game. We don't want Tomiyasu to run his contract down into his final year. That is problematic. You don't want that. I think it's a smart move from Edu. It's a smart move from whoever is negotiating these contracts. Give him a new deal, and when it comes to next summer, you can actually negotiate with him if he wants to stay, which actually I think he will want to after Arsenal winning some silverware. I think many players would want to stay at Arsenal, especially if we can get ourselves on on the winners list. Maybe UCL, maybe Premier League, maybe the FA Cup. If there is any tangible, thing that actually, depicts the process, depicts the progress at this side, I think Arsenal will have the ability to retain our best talents. But Tomiyasu, whichever way it's gonna happen, whichever way it's gonna end, I would love him to stay at Arsenal. I would love him to be a long-term Arsenal player, because what he offers, his ability in a back three, his ability to play left back and right back, and genuinely, because there are so many players that can actually disguise as versatile. You look at Cedric Suarez. I don't think Cedric Suarez is that versatile. Yes, he can play in these positions, but then can he give you that quality Tomiyasu gives you at left back? Can he give you that quality Tomiyasu gives you at centre back? I really don't think so. So those two contracts are being negotiated at the moment, and therefore, if anything happens around them, I will be able to report back to you as soon as possible. Now, the big story is around Gabriel Magalhães as well. So let's start off with a good one, because he did get his breakthrough debut for Brazil as they were beating Bolivia 5-1. He had a very good display, and he took onto his Instagram and said, "This was a moment I've been waiting for, and finally it has come. I'm really happy that we did win on our debut." The problem here is a couple of sources have been trying to scare Arsenal fans and scare us that he was actually injured. I didn't take this story seriously, and that's why I've not reported about it like in the last 72 hours. So this is what happened with Gabriel Magalhães. He played in that game until the 83rd minute, and then he was taken off due to a precaution. Now, we did see a couple of ice blocks being applied to his thigh, I think left thigh, but it was courtesy of a precaution. It was the reason was it was just a precaution. Arsenal are not trying to be scared, and we've not received any news or any confirmation from Arsenal that the player is actually injured or out. So Brazil have also not said he's injured. It's the same thing with Gabriel Jesus. None of these players has actually sustained an injury, or at least we don't have any official confirmation from the Brazilian Institution of Football and the Arsenal Football Institution to confirm that these players are injured. So at the moment, they are all right, and Gabriel Magalhães is expected to play in that Wednesday game. Right? Brazil play on Wednesday. I think that will be their last game this international break. He's expected to feature. He's going to become the new Thiago Silva, and his story is what I wished. I want to have around 6-7 players representing their national teams. So you look at Odegaard, you look at Gabi now, you look at the two Gabriels, you look at Saka, you look at Rice. We have players that are responsible for their nations, and therefore those players should be able to take care of Arsenal matters as well. So Gabriel is alright. The injury update is there, delivered and positive. Right, let's talk about Trossard and Emile Smith-Rowe as well. So this has actually come in a little bit, later, and I wanted to incorporate it in this story. Leandro Trossard, according to Now.Arsenal, Leandro Trossard has spoken to Mikel Arteta in his own words, and he says he's spoken about him, due to his lack of game time this campaign. The Arsenal manager told the Belgian he will be given the chances once the Champions League begins and Arsenal playing every 3 days, and he has to take it with Trossard, stating he's ready to do so. Trossard has only seen 60 minutes of the Premier League football so far this season, but is set to feature much more regularly very, very soon. Now, of course, we know Trossard has been a little bit, I don't want to say unhappy, but disgruntled and maybe concerned as a player. If you've come in January and this is a big club, this is a huge institution in Arsenal, and you want to fight for your place, and you've done whatever you've got to do. You're scoring goals, you're assisting, you're picking up the right positions, you're not dropping the ball, and you're tracking back very well. And the manager actually sees that. And then, despite all that effort, he drops you. You've got to ask the questions. You've got to ask the manager, aren't I good enough? Aren't I good enough to start in your team? Aren't I good enough to be, a starter in this Arsenal side? However, the conversations have been positive, and Leandro Trossard says that he's talked to the manager. There is a huge consensus. There is a real consensus between the two parties that Leandro Trossard is going to play more regularly for Arsenal, especially when Arsenal start playing every 2 to 3 days. My concern with Trossard is not game time. My concern with Trossard is not playing him when he is at his best. I mean, it happens. The times when you look at players like Fabio Vieira, especially at the moment, and you ask yourself the question, right now Vieira is at his best. Right now, this is the best we can find, in Fabio Vieira. If you don't play him now, for him to find that kind of continuity, then it just doesn't work. By the time you actually keep him on the bench and bring him back later, he will be out of form. You want to reward players that are doing well. You want to reward players that are on fire. And with Trossard, with Vieira, these are players that have shown us in preseason. These are players that have shown us at the beginning of the campaign that they can give us the maximum quality we require. But for me, the big question, guys, is about Emile Smith-Rowe. If Leandro Trossard is going to be playing more regularly and is going to be playing, huge minutes for Mikel Arteta, what about Emile Smith-Rowe? What about Emile? Because Emile is too far away the pecking order. He's very far away, and I'm not okay with that. And I'm not comfortable with it. If Trossard is going to get game time, Emile should as well, and in his best position, right? There's no sense of playing him as a Martin Odegaard replacement or a Martin Odegaard competitor should stop. I think we all know Emile Smith-Rowe is much better in that left 8 pocket of space on the left, or even replacing and competing with Gabriel Martinelli. That is where he plays best, and that is where we should see him actually featuring, right? I'm not really sure what the plans are for Emile, but Mikel needs to consider him. He's a talent that we are going to be losing, that we're going to be wasting, especially this campaign. But of course, I have a special video about Emile Smith-Rowe coming up on the channel. Make sure you tuned in for that. I'll speak to you right in the next one.